going to do a more simple video today. Today, we're just going to look at young earth creationism philosophically. We're not going to necessarily look into Bible verses or talk about scientific evidence. We're just going to evaluate it based on philosophical principles. Yeah. Starting off, young earth creationism. The belief that the earth was created 6,000 to 10,000 years ago requires the belief that all scientific evidence is altered by some sort of accelerating or decomposing universe. Now, one could possibly look at all the different aspects of scientific evidence that would have to be altered in order to make young earth creationism work. And it would be quite a lot. But at the end of the day, you could just say that God did it. This is a philosophical principle or theory or idea, subject known as last Thursdayism, the belief that everything was created as it is last Thursday. It's also a trickster type thing because it's almost as if God created the universe in such a way that it would point to the wrong conclusions, or that another entity, say Satan, did the same thing. So, these ideas are not unheard of in philosophy. So we could say that young earth creationists aren't necessarily bad philosophers. Of course, one might want to ask, is it even worthwhile to be a philosopher? Do philosophers even know what they're talking about? It's a good question. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about something else. So how does one know that Jesus existed? People saw him. Alright? You could even think of the verse in 1 John that says, our own eyes have seen, our ears have heard, and I think it says our hands have touched. So it's an observation, not in terms of just with the sight, but an interaction between a human and the world. Alright? How did they know that Jesus was who he says he was? Well, they saw the things that he did. But it also lined up with the Old Testament of the Bible. And so you could think like, yeah, they believe the Bible. And it's like, yes. But there's also the aspect of they had to see what he was doing and seeing if it matched up with the Bible. The thing is, evaluation, observation, interaction with the world cannot be thrown out. That's one of the biggest, I think, themes in the New Testament is that there was all these witnesses to what was going on. There was all this evidence. And so one could say, similarly, well, it was another being, or it was a trickster god that put all that evidence that Jesus is God. Or like the Bible itself, it was like a trickster that like wrote it that way and stuff, and that it's all pointing to falsehoods. Basically what I'm saying is the very foundations of young earth creationism can be used to not believe in the Bible or not believe in Jesus. Because young earth creationism says, the Bible, as we read it, is absolutely true. Every observation that disagrees with that is false. It's like, well, how do you know that the Bible is absolutely true? Well, one thing that Jesus said was, if you don't believe my words, you need to, you can test them. You can do what I say and see if it's really from God. And so there's this aspect of, okay, now we need to look at the evidence. We need to try to do things. We need to see if this is true. But if everything is an illusion or something placed there by Satan, you can't actually test it. You can never see if the Bible is true. So when young earth creationists throw out observation, they're throwing out the evidence for the Bible. And then the only reason that you could say they believe in the Bible is just because they specifically pick the Bible without evidence. They could have picked a different book, like the Quran, or even the Talmud, and said, this is absolutely true, and every evidence to the contrary was placed there by Satan. So as we can see, young earth creationism is based entirely on falsehoods. And the Bible says that Satan is the father of lies. So young earth creationism should be in hell, which is where it belongs.